Baltimore Ohio 25 was built by Mason Machine Works in Taunton, Massachusetts in 1856 and is the 46th steam locomotive built by that factory and is a 440 American type steam locomotive. Also, the locomotive is named William Mason. It also honors the name of the person who built the locomotive, and he is the founder of the Mason Machine Works, and he built 754 steam locomotives from 1853 till his death in 1883. It didn't have the name because the railroad had to end practice of naming the locomotives the time it was built. It was used for many years to haul passenger trains on the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. It is one of the locomotives that pulled the train that had former U.S. President Abraham Lincoln on board from Springfield, Illinois to Washington, D.C. for his inauguration in 1861. It was also the second locomotive to be numbered 25, and it replaced an earlier 440 with that number, but was built by William Norris in 1839. In 1882, it was renumbered 55. Then, in 1892, it was retired and was placed in storage. The Baltimore and Ohio fortunately had greatly favored its locomotives and preserved the best examples, including this one. It was renumbered back to 25. In 1893, it was on display at the Chicago World's Fair, and then in 1904 at the St. Louis Exposition. Then, in 1927, it received the name in honor of its builder. It was then displayed at the Fair of the Iron Horse that year. Then, in 1939, it was displayed at the New York World's Fair. Then, in 1948, it was on display at the Chicago Railroad Fair. Then, in 1951, it was loaned to the Erie Railroad and operated as a traveling exhibit as part of the Railroad Centennial Celebration. Then, it was put into storage till 1853. It was then acquired by the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Museum in Baltimore, Maryland. Also, it had a movie career and appeared in The Great Locomotive Chase. In 1956, the next year, Raintree Country. After the movie performances, it then went back to the museum. In 1998, it went to the Strasburg Railroad in Strasburg, Pennsylvania, where it was restored to operating condition for the movie Wild Wild West. Then Tuck Everlasting and Gods and Generals. In 2003, the museum's roundhouse roof collapsed from a snowstorm, and it was inside the roundhouse during that time and was damaged. However, it was steamed up, and it was the oldest operable steam engine in the universe till it was back in retirement and was put on display inside the museum in 2014. It was operated on select weekends in October that year. Afterwards, it was taken out of service for its 1472-day inspection until it was found out that the crown sheet, getting too thin, would need to be replaced, but the cost would be too high for restoration. It was placed back into retirement instead. Also, when it was at the museum, the green areas on the locomotive had a much darker shade. It was being repainted to a lighter shade of green. In 2017, it then returned to the roundhouse and was back on display. Also, Baltimore and Ohio 25 is the only surviving Baltimore and Ohio 440 left in the world today, and it can be found here at the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Museum in Baltimore, Maryland, where it is preserved today.